Right now, Pittsburgh's best sports show is about to begin. Call us or tweet us. We got things to talk about on the Ireland Contracting Nightly Sports Call.
All right, thanks a lot, and thank you for tuning into the Ireland Contracting Nightly Sports Call. Rich Walsh, give me a call tonight. 412-575-2600 is the number, and the big topic today is Le'Veon Bell turning down the Steelers' long-term deal. Today was the deadline at 4 o'clock, and the two sides could not come to terms on what was reported to be the Steelers offering Bell about $70 million, in the neighborhood of $70 million over 5 years. That's an average of $14 million a year, with $30 million coming in the first 2 years. Bell said it wasn't good enough, and the two sides obviously not too close. I mean, over the over the last few months, you heard Bell say he wanted $17 million. Then you heard him talk about he doesn't want anything less than 14.5, which he's getting. He hasn't signed the franchise tag yet, and he doesn't have to do it until the first game of the season. That's when he'll get paid by game, and I would imagine it's going to happen like last year. He's going to show up the week before the first game and play every game and get his paycheck for every game and make $14.5 million. Now, he threatened, I think it was, a few weeks ago, and someone reported that he said he might hold out. I think an agent brought that up, that he might not go to some games. He might hold out for a little bit. I don't think that's going to happen, because Bell would basically be giving up about $1 million a game if he held out any game at all, and I don't think he's going to do that. Obviously, he's about money right now, and, I can't say I blame him. I can't blame him. He's out to try to make as much money as he can in a short amount of time, and this is his chance to cash in. But, looking at the other side, $70 million is a lot of money, and he just basically turned it down. What happens if he gets hurt? That's the big question right now. And Gene Collier's here with us. What's going on today?
With my chair? I
know.
I can't adjust it.
You can't. We'll get that. Hey, we'll get that figured out. I knew you were doing something over there. But what do you think? I think Bell should have took the deal. I knew they weren't going to come to terms. But $70 million, just like last year was $60 million, $70 million, that's a lot of money to turn down. Something could happen.
Absolutely. I mean, I don't understand it. Didn't understand it the first time around. I understand the position that he wants to take, that he wants to set a new paradigm for running backs in the league. God bless him. I don't blame him for that, but I can't blame the Steelers for not going, beyond this ridiculous figure. They originally offered him more than twice what every running back in the league was making. So, I mean, I see both sides of it, but and nothing really happened today that we didn't expect, did it, Rich?
No, I mean, we both knew that. We talked about this for numerous times on the show, and I think even $14 million, I think, is a lot of money for the Steelers offering him that. I don't know if I agree with that. Obviously, they value him, and I think all fans value him, but I still think $14 million is high compared to what's out there. Freeman's, making $8 million a year or something like that. Mm-hmm. And, hey, if you're trying to, it's just like playing fantasy football or whatever. You need money in other areas, and you have a cap, so you could use that on defense, that money, and get a guy that's maybe not as good as Le'Veon Bell, but is going to cost a lot less. And we always talk about this on the show. You look at the Patriots, you look at the Eagles. They don't spend any money on the running back position, and they both were in the Super Bowl.
Right. They've made it work with a couple different components. Now, there are different offenses, of course. I mean, if the Steelers have to play without Le'Veon Bell next year, they won't be as good. But the distance between the best running back in the league, which I believe he is, and the 25th best running back in the league is not as great as Le'Veon Bell thinks it is.
Yeah, I don't think so either. And you heard his agent came out today and said that, this is the reality is this is his last year in a Steelers uniform, essentially, and the Steelers don't want to pay the player, they want to pay the position. You can't blame the Steelers for paying the position. They would screw it up for basically every team in the NFL if they set the bar higher.
Yeah, the Steelers have done pretty well in the free agency era, figuring these things out under the cap. I have no reason to second guess them.
Yeah, I don't either. How about second guessing the Pirates? Felipe Vasquez, the only one in D.C. for the All-Star game. The Pirates are on a roll here, 8-1 at the break. It's unfortunate that they had a break right now because they're playing so well, it seems like, and getting the breaks. Do you think they're contenders now or pretenders still?
I don't know. I mean, even bad teams, over the course of a season will have a 6-game winning streak. I wouldn't put too much stock in that. They did play well in this homestand after losing 2 of 3 to the Phillies to start it. So I think they're about where they deserve to be. They're a little bit better than they were at this point last year. Does that make them a contender? No, I don't think so.
I don't think so either. I was talking about that a little bit earlier. They're not a contender in my book right now. They're just an average team, and that's what average teams do. They lose a bunch, they win a bunch, and they have an average record around 500, and that's what the Pirates are right now. We got to take a break here. Before we go to break, though, I want to mention we get another sizzling shot from Ruth Chris. Another hole-in-one. They keep coming. They keep rolling in here to the KDKA-TV studios. We got a guy to tell you about at Nevelwood Country Club, or the club at Nevelwood, they like to call it over there. Fine golf course. Good golfer. Another hole-in-one. We'll talk about him coming up next. Stay right there on the Ireland Contracting Nightly Sports Call.